Now questions from our panel. The two parties have agreed on a format in which the answers and questions will be bound strictly by time. A candidate has 2 minutes to answer a question from the panel. His opponent will have 2 minutes to respond. Each will then get 1 minute to make further statements. We start with Tim Udise putting the first question to Mr. de Klerk. Tim.
Well, thank you, Frick. Question to Mr. de Klerk. Mr. de Klerk, violence, both political and criminal, poses a #1 threat to the elections, and over the past few years it has continued unabated, and seemingly the government is unable to deal with it. With that kind of record, as still incumbent president, what guarantees do you give the electorate tonight that violence will not get completely out of hand and thus subvert the forthcoming elections?
Thank you for the question, Tim. Let me start out by saying I disagree with the analysis that the government is not dealing effectively with it. Yes, there is too much violence, but the government has taken extensive steps to deal with it. In KwaZulu-Natal, there is a state of emergency. In the other trouble spot in South Africa, the PWV area, but specifically Johannesburg and surrounds, 11 districts have been declared as unrest areas. We've increased the police force by almost from 75,000 to around about 100,000. The government is taking whatever steps is possible, but its task has been made very difficult by inter alia, our main opponent, the ANC, by their demonizing of the police force, by driving a wedge between communities and the police force. Our task has been made extremely difficult by the continued existence and activities of the self-defense units and of activities also of supporters of the ANC. I sit here with 8 extracts from Goldstone reports showing that the violence in all 8 instances, and they were serious instances, in all 8 instances was attributed to ANC supporters and Inkatha supporters at each other's throats. That is not an easy problem to solve. The government has done its duty in that regard. If we look at the future, I believe that the election will lay a basis for real reconciliation in South Africa. The electoral strife will be over. It will be clear who are the winners, who are the strong parties, and in a government of national unity, our approach will be to take hands with all those who serve with us and jointly to continue to deal with the problem of violence.
Thank you, Mr. de Klerk. Mr. Mandela, your response in 2 minutes.
I deal with this question on the basis that is the duty of the leadership to put before the public a total picture. Any leader who is merely promoting the point of view of his political party is not a leader who is going to help to pull out South Africa from this mess. And what I find unacceptable is the fact that the president should misquote the reports of Mr. Goldstone. Because if you look at his report, the police are deeply involved in this violence. You have one of the top police officers who has been suspended from his duty precisely because there are serious allegations against him of gun running, of working with murderers to murder innocent people. I have discussed these issues with Mr. de Klerk on a one-on-one basis confidentially, provided him with evidence of the activities of his police. There is one thing he does not want to know. There is one thing that he covers very, very stubbornly, and that is the involvement of senior police officials in this violence. That is the truth. That is the total picture.